So, Max drawled, adjusting his sunglasses. You want to make the HOA regret the day they were born, huh? Something like that, I said, grinning. Think backyard concert meets sonic earthquake. Max's eyes lit up. I'm in. Let's make some noise. One of them said, scratching his head. You sure you got the right address? We usually deliver this stuff to, like, concert venues. Just a little backyard upgrade, I said, winking. You know, for when the bird song gets a bit too quiet. A perfect summer afternoon. Sun shining, birds chirping, and me? I'm in my backyard, chilling by my pool. It's not an Olympic-sized monstrosity or anything, but it's perfect for me. Just the right size for a refreshing dip, a few inflatable toys, and maybe a floating bar. Priorities, people. Now, I love my pool. It's my sanctuary, my escape from the daily grind, my personal oasis in a desert of suburban conformity. But what I love even more than the pool itself? The parties. Oh, the legendary pool parties I throw. We're talking epic gatherings of friends, neighbors, and anyone who appreciates a good time. There's music, there's BBQ, there's laughter echoing through the warm summer air. It's the kind of party that makes you want to ditch your phone, kick off your shoes, and just soak in the good vibes. But there's a dark cloud looming over my pool party paradise, a Karen-shaped cloud, to be precise. Her name is Karen Delacroix, and she's the self-appointed ruler of our HOA. This woman treats the neighborhood like her personal kingdom, enforcing rules with the zeal of a tyrant and the subtlety of a foghorn. She's the kind of person who leaves passive-aggressive notes on your door about excessive lawn ornament height and calls the cops on kids for laughing too loud. And my pool parties? Oh, they're her biggest nemesis. She's been waging a war against them for months, using every tactic in her Karen arsenal. She's left notes complaining about noise pollution, called the cops for disturbing the peace, at 7 p.m., mind you, and even tried to get the HOA to ban music in backyards altogether. These pool parties, she declared at the last HOA meeting, her voice dripping with disdain, are a menace to the community. They disrupt the peace, lower property values, and encourage, gasp, fun. But I wasn't fazed. In fact, her outrage only fueled my determination. I knew what I had to do. It was time to fight fire with fire. Or rather, noise with noise. If Karen thought she'd heard loud, she hadn't heard anything yet. The monthly HOA meeting. It's held in the community center, a beige-tastic room with fluorescent lighting that makes everyone look like they haven't slept in a week. The air is thick with tension, the kind that only a gathering of suburbanites with too much power and too little excitement can create. I'm sitting there, sipping my lukewarm coffee, trying to blend into the background. But it's no use. Karen Delacroix, the HOA queen bee, has me in her sights. And now, she announces, her voice dripping with faux sweetness, we have a matter of great concern to discuss. The pool parties. The room erupts in murmurs. I can feel the eyes on me, a mixture of curiosity and judgment. I take a deep breath and prepare for battle. Karen launches into a dramatic monologue, her voice rising with every word. These parties, she declares, are a disgrace to our community. The noise, the crowds, the blatant disregard for peace and quiet. It's simply unacceptable. She paces back and forth, her heels clicking on the linoleum floor. I've received numerous complaints, she continues, about loud music, excessive laughter, and even, gasp, dancing. I roll my eyes. Seriously, dancing is a crime now? This is a family-friendly neighborhood, Karen proclaims, her voice reaching a fever pitch. We will not tolerate this kind of unruly behavior. She turns to me, her eyes narrowed into slits. And you, she says, pointing a manicured finger in my direction, are the ringleader of this chaos. If I hear so much as a single note of music from your backyard again, I'll have you fined into the Stone Age." The room falls silent. I can feel the weight of their judgment, their disapproval. But then something shifts within me. A spark of defiance ignites in my chest. "Fine me, Karen?" I think to myself, a smirk spreading across my face. "Bring it on, because you haven't seen anything yet." I sit up a little straighter, my eyes locked on Karen's. I'm not backing down. In fact, I'm just getting started. This isn't just about pool parties anymore. It's about freedom, about the right to have a little fun, about standing up to the tyranny of the HOA. And I'm not going to let Karen Delacroix or anyone else take that away from me. All right, time to unleash my inner audiophile. Operation Sonic Boom was a go. I had a vision, a sound system so epic, so powerful it would make the walls of Jericho crumble. Figuratively, of course. I didn't want any structural damage. First, I called in the experts. I found a sound engineer who'd worked on music festivals, a guy named Max who looked like he hadn't slept since Woodstock. "So," Max drawled, adjusting his sunglasses, "you want to make the HOA regret the day they were born, huh?" "Something like that," I said, grinning. "Think backyard concert meets sonic earthquake." Max's eyes lit up. "I'm in! Let's make some noise!" Next, I needed the equipment. Forget those dinky little Bluetooth speakers. I was talking stadium grade, the kind they use to blast out Queen's "We Will Rock You" to a crowd of thousands. The delivery guys looked bewildered as they unloaded the massive speakers, subwoofers the size of refrigerators, and amplifiers that could power a small city. One of them said, scratching his head. "You sure you got the right address? We usually deliver this stuff to, like, concert venues." "Just a little backyard upgrade," I said, winking. "You know, for when the birdsong gets a bit too quiet." The installation process was a sight to behold. Wires snaked across the yard, lights flashed, and the air crackled with anticipation. The HOA, bless their nosy hearts, couldn't help but peek through their curtains. Karen, of course, was in full panic mode. She stormed over, her face a mask of disapproval. "What in the HOA-approved hell is going on here?" she shrieked, her voice barely audible over the sound of drills and hammering. "Just a little home improvement project, Karen," I said, smiling sweetly. "You know, sprucing things up a bit, making sure the birds can hear my music." She sputtered, she fumed, but she couldn't stop me. The equipment was installed, the wires were connected, and the stage was set for the ultimate sonic showdown. And when that first bass drop hit, oh, it was glorious. The ground shook, the pool water rippled, and Karen's face turned a delightful shade of purple. The HOA's reign of silence was officially over. All right, the moment of truth had arrived. The sound system was installed, the wires were connected, and the playlist was queued up. Think bass-heavy bangers with a healthy dose of HOA annoying tunes. It was time to unleash the beast. I invited a few close friends over, the ones who wouldn't judge my slightly unhinged quest for sonic domination. They gathered in the backyard, eyes wide with anticipation, drinks in hand. "Are you sure about this?" one friend asked, a hint of concern in her voice. "I mean, what if the HOA calls the cops?" "Let them," I said, grinning. "It'll be the most epic noise complaint in history." I took a deep breath, savoring the moment. Then, with a dramatic flourish, I pressed play. Boom! The bass dropped like a sonic bomb, shaking the ground beneath our feet. The pool water rippled and danced, forming mini tsunamis that threatened to overflow. The windows rattled, the trees swayed, and a flock of startled birds took flight, their panicked squawks barely audible over the thundering music. My friends erupted in cheers, their bodies moving instinctively to the rhythm. I grinned, feeling a surge of pure, unadulterated joy. This was it. This was my masterpiece, my symphony of defiance, my bass drop, heard around the block. And Karen? Oh, Karen. I glanced towards her house. And there she was, standing at her window, her face a mask of horrified disbelief. Her jaw hung open, her eyes bulged, and her perfectly coiffed hair seemed to be vibrating in sync with the bass. It was like she'd just witnessed a meteor crash into a symphony orchestra. She threw open her window and let out a shriek, but her voice was swallowed by the music. She shook her fist. She stomped her feet. She even attempted a dramatic feint, but it was all for naught. The sound was overwhelming, all-encompassing, a glorious wall of bass that drowned out all other sounds. The absurdity of the situation was not lost on me. Here I was, in my suburban backyard, blasting music that could rival a stadium concert, while the HOA Queen Bee was having a full-blown meltdown next door. It was like a scene out of a comedy movie, but with less slapstick and more subwoofers. And as the music swelled, filling the air with a glorious cacophony of sound, I couldn't help but laugh. This was my revenge, my victory, my way of saying, "You want quiet, Karen? Then you've come to the wrong neighborhood." The word was out. My backyard was the place to be on a Saturday afternoon. Forget stuffy cocktail parties and boring barbecues. This was a full-blown festival of fun, fueled by thumping bass and HOA defiance. The scene was pure mayhem, in the best possible way. Kids were splashing in the pool, their laughter echoing through the neighborhood. Adults were lounging on inflatable flamingos, sipping margaritas and gossiping about the latest HOA drama. And the teenagers? They were in their own world, a blur of dance moves and TikTok videos, their phones capturing every glorious moment of the rebellion. "This is epic!" yelled my neighbor, Sarah, over the music. She was attempting the Macarena on a giant inflatable swan, her moves a hilarious mix of enthusiasm and questionable coordination. "I know, right?" I shouted back, grinning. "Who needs Coachella when you've got your own backyard rave?" A group of kids, armed with water guns and super soakers, were engaged in an epic water battle, their squeals of delight mingling with the pulsating music. One kid, a little dude with a mischievous grin, climbed onto a speaker and started belting out his own rendition of Baby Shark. The crowd went wild. "This is way better than that boring old playground," he declared, striking a rock star pose. Even the local DJ, a guy named DJ Jazzy Jeff, no relation to the Fresh Prince, sadly, was blown away. "This is the most unique gig I've ever played," he said, his eyes wide with amazement. "The energy here is insane." He dropped a beat, and the crowd went wild. People were dancing on the lawn, in the pool, even on the roof, don't ask. It was a beautiful, chaotic symphony of movement and sound, a testament to the power of music to bring people together. Meanwhile, Karen Delacroix was watching from her window, her face a mask of fury. She looked like she was about to spontaneously combust, her perfectly manicured nails digging into the windowsill. "Those hooligans!" she shrieked, her voice barely audible over the music. "They'll pay for this. I'll have them all fined. Her voice trailed off as she noticed a group of teenagers filming her through the window. They waved, their phones capturing her outrage for posterity. Karen slammed the window shut, defeated. The HOA's attempts to silence the fun had backfired spectacularly. They were now the outcasts, the grumpy old folks who hated joy and laughter. Their meetings were sparsely attended, their pronouncements ignored. They were like a band playing to an empty stadium, their music drowned out by the joyous cacophony of my backyard bash. And as I watched the party unfold, I couldn't help but feel a sense of triumph. I had not only defied the HOA, but I had also created something truly special. A space where people could come together, let loose, and forget about the rules and regulations that governed their lives. It was a beautiful rebellion, a symphony of defiance, a testament to the power of music and community. and it was all happening in my backyard. Every weekend, my backyard transformed into a full-blown festival. We're talking crowds, music, dancing, the whole 9 yards. It was like Coachella, but with less overpriced water and more questionable swimwear choices. The neighbors, once hesitant, now flocked to my parties with the enthusiasm of moths to a very loud flame. They brought their kids, their inflatable toys, and their best dance moves. The atmosphere was electric, a mix of pure joy, community spirit, and a healthy dose of stick it to the HOA. Even the local DJs caught wind of the action. They'd show up with their turntables and laptops, eager to spin some tunes for the crowd. We had everything from house music to hip-hop to 80s classics, because who doesn't love a good throwback? And then there were the social media influencers. These guys and gals, with these perfectly curated feeds and their millions of followers, descended upon my backyard like a flock of glitter-covered pigeons. They filmed TikToks, they posted Instagram stories, they even did a few Facebook Live sessions, for the older crowd, you know. My pool parties were officially viral. People were tagging their friends, sharing videos, and planning their weekends around my backyard bash. It was like I'd accidentally created a suburban music festival, fueled by defiance and a love of good tunes. The HOA, meanwhile, was spiraling into a vortex of despair. Their attempts to silence the fun had backfired spectacularly. They were now the outcasts, the grumpy old folks who hated joy and laughter. Karen Delacroix, bless her noise-sensitive soul, was on the verge of a complete meltdown. She'd call the cops every weekend, her voice trembling with rage. But the cops, well, they were starting to enjoy the parties too. "Sorry, ma'am," one officer said, politely declining Karen's offer of a noise complaint form. "But we're kind of busy enjoying the music. Besides, they're not breaking any laws." Karen sputtered. She fumed. She even threatened to write a strongly worded letter to the mayor. But it was no use. The party raged on, the music pulsed, and the HOA's power dwindled with every bass drop. It was a beautiful thing to witness. The community, once divided by HOA rules and regulations, was now united by a shared love of music and a healthy dose of rebellion. And as I watched the crowd dance and sing, I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. I had created something special. Something that transcended the petty rules and regulations of the HOA. I had created a space where people could come together, let loose, and just have a good time. And that, my friends, was worth more than any fine the HOA could throw at me. Okay, so Karen Delacroix, bless her noise-canceling headphones, was not about to go down without a fight. This woman was like a terrier with a chew toy, except the chew toy was my happiness, and the terrier was fueled by an unholy cocktail of HOA regulations and repressed rage. Her first weapon of choice? The phone. She became the neighborhood's most prolific 911 caller, dialing the police every time a bass drum kicked or a chorus hit a high note. "There's a disturbance at my address," she'd shriek into the phone, her voice trembling with indignation. "Loud music, unruly behavior, possible, gasp, dancing." The police, bless their patient hearts, would show up, sirens blaring, but instead of shutting down the party, they'd end up joining in. I mean, who can resist a good barbecue in a pool full of happy people? "Sorry, ma'am," one officer said, politely handing Karen a noise complaint form for the 10th time that week. "But everything seems to be in order here. Maybe you'd like to join the party?" Karen's eye twitched. "Join the party?" she sputtered. "I'd rather eat nails." Undeterred, she escalated her war. She called the city council, complaining about noise pollution and public nuisance. But the council members, many of whom had secretly attended my parties, don't tell anyone, politely ignored her calls. "Look, Karen," one council member finally said, after the 10th voicemail. "We appreciate your concern, but those parties are bringing the community together. And besides, they're generating a lot of positive buzz for the city, so maybe just try to enjoy the music?" Karen's frustration reached epic levels. She even tried to rally the HOA board against me, but they were too busy enjoying the free food and drinks at my parties to care. "Look, Karen," said the new HOA president, Susan, "I understand your concerns, but those parties are technically within the rules. And besides, everyone seems to be having a good time. Maybe you should try joining us sometime." Karen's face turned a delightful shade of purple. "Join you?" she shrieked. "Never!" In a last-ditch effort to regain control, Karen decided to take matters into her own hands. She started patrolling the neighborhood, armed with a decibel meter and a notebook, meticulously documenting every sound violation, but her efforts backfired hilariously. One day, while she was measuring the sound levels of a particularly enthusiastic rendition of Bohemian Rhapsody, a group of kids snuck up behind her and blasted her with water balloons. Karen, drenched and defeated, retreated to her house, vowing revenge. But her reign of terror was coming to an end. The police, tired of her false alarms, finally issued her a warning. One more frivolous call, and she'd be facing a hefty fine. The community, once intimidated by her Karen-esque tactics, now saw her as a joke, a grumpy old woman who couldn't handle a little bit of fun. And as I watched Karen's empire crumble, I couldn't help but smile. It was a victory for the little guy, for the right to party, for the freedom to blast your favorite music without fear of reprisal. It was a victory for everyone who had ever been silenced by a Karen. All right, it was time for the ultimate power move, the final act in my symphony of defiance, the crescendo that would shake the HOA to its very core. I announced it with a flourish, a proclamation worthy of a Roman emperor. "Hear ye, I, the ruler of this watery domain, hereby declare a grand celebration, a block party to end all block parties, a festival of fun, a symphony of sound, well, you get the picture." The neighborhood buzzed with excitement. Kids ran around, spreading the news like tiny, hyperactive town criers. Parents marked their calendars, their eyes gleaming with anticipation. Even the teenagers, those masters of social media, couldn't resist the allure of a good old-fashioned block party. I went all out. I hired a cover band that specialized in 80s hits, because who doesn't love a little livin' on a prayer? I rented a giant inflatable bouncy castle, for the kids, of course, though I secretly planned to take a few bounces myself. I even ordered a custom-made banner that read, "The HOA can't stop the party." Karen Delacroix, meanwhile, was spiraling into a vortex of panic. She called emergency HOA meetings. She wrote angry letters to the city council. She even tried to bribe the local ice cream truck driver to boycott my party. But it was no use. The party was happening, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. "This is madness!" she shrieked to anyone who would listen. "This is anarchy! This is fun!" The day of the party arrived, and the atmosphere was electric. The entire neighborhood turned out, decked out in their finest party attire, which, in some cases, meant inflatable dinosaur costumes and glow-in-the-dark sunglasses. The smell of barbecue wafted through the air, mingling with the sweet scent of cotton candy and the slightly less appealing aroma of chlorine. The band kicked off with a rousing rendition of "Don't Stop Believin'," and the crowd went wild. People were dancing in the streets, singing along at the top of their lungs, and generally having the time of their lives. It was a beautiful, chaotic symphony of community and defiance, a testament to the power of fun to overcome even the most rigid of HOA regulations. Karen, bless her noise-canceling headphones, made one final attempt to shut down the party. She called the police, her voice trembling with rage. But when the officers arrived, They were greeted with cheers and offers of hot dogs. "Sorry, ma'am," one officer said, politely handing Karen a noise complaint form for the 100th time that week. "But we're kind of busy enjoying the party. Besides, they have a permit for this." Karen's jaw dropped. "A permit?" she sputtered. But how?" I grinned. "Turns out the city is a big fan of community events, especially ones that involve music, laughter, and a healthy dose of HOA defiance." Karen's face crumpled. She realized she had lost. The party raged on, the music pulsed, and the HOA's power dwindled with every joyous laugh and every enthusiastic dance move. It was a glorious victory, a testament to the power of community, the joy of rebellion, and the undeniable allure of a good block party. And as I watched the crowd dance and sing, I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. I had not only defied the HOA, but I had also created something truly special. A space where people could come together, let loose, and celebrate the simple joy of being alive. Okay, fast forward 1 year. The neighborhood? It's unrecognizable. Forget the HOA's beige-topia dreams. This place is a symphony of sound and laughter. Kids are setting up impromptu lemonade stands with booming sound systems, their entrepreneurial spirits thriving alongside their love for terrible pop music. Garage bands are practicing in every other driveway, their off-key renditions of classic rock anthems echoing through the streets. And on weekends, forget quiet barbecues. We're talking full-blown block parties, complete with DJs, dancing, and enough food to feed a small army. My rebellion? It sparked a revolution. The HOA's tyranny had been overthrown, replaced by a community-wide celebration of music and fun, Karen Delacroix. Well, let's just say she moved to a retirement community where the only sounds allowed are the gentle chirping of crickets and the occasional shuffleboard puck. And me? I'm standing in the middle of my backyard, surrounded by a sea of dancing neighbors, the air pulsating with the rhythm of the music. The sound system is cranked up to 11, the bass shaking the ground beneath our feet. It's a glorious cacophony, a symphony of defiance, a testament to the power of music to bring people together and to drown out the voices of those who try to silence us. As the final notes of the song fade away, I raise my fist in the air, a triumphant grin spreading across my face. "We did it!" I yell, my voice barely audible over the cheers of the crowd. "We took back our neighborhood! We reclaimed our right to party!" The crowd roars its approval, their voices blending with the music to create a beautiful, chaotic symphony of victory. And as I stand there, surrounded by my friends and neighbors, I know that this is more than just a party. It's a celebration of freedom, a testament to the power of community, and a reminder that even the most formidable of foes can be defeated with a little bit of creativity, a lot of determination, and a really, really good sound system. The HOA may have tried to silence us, but in the end, it was the sound of our laughter, our music, and our collective defiance that echoed through the streets. And that, my friends, is a sound that will never be silenced.